So we got a late start because it was actually pouring here. We're in St. Augustine. So we just had a heavy rain here, so that delayed our live start. Sorry about that. This place here is of particular interest. So most of you probably know St. Augustine is the oldest city in the United States. It was founded in 1565 by the Spanish. It did have its periods where both the British and the French tried to basically take over the city, and at some time it was occupied by the British. But I'll tell you later how that plays into things here. So here's the Tolomato Cemetery, and so you'll see another video on our channel about this, but this is a, let's stop here. This is a former, well, it was a Catholic cemetery because the Catholics and the Protestants were segregated, and this cemetery is rumored to be highly haunted. Up here you can see the gates that say Tolomato, and this particular tree up here is of relevance to the left because there's supposedly a little boy up there in the tree, a ghost boy, who people claim they see at times. So this is one very haunted cemetery within St. Augustine. Let me know in the comments if you've ever been to this particular cemetery. So I wanted to start us at the gates of the city, but like I said, we were in a complete downpour, and we're going to start in the side street here. We're going to go up to another cemetery now. This other cemetery is the Huguenot Cemetery. The Huguenots were Protestants, and they were French, and if you were Protestant at the time of the Spanish occupation here, you were buried outside of the city walls, and you're buried in Huguenot Cemetery, also to be haunted. We'll show you that. Particularly interesting story about the Huguenot Cemetery is that, well, the Spanish, as I said, had their own cemetery, but during the time of yellow fever, during the time of yellow fever, many people died within the city here, and at times people were buried alive. People thought they were dead, but they were actually alive. And so a particular device was used in this cemetery to allow people to alert others that they were not dead when they were buried. And let me know if you know what that device is, but it's the origin of a famous quote or saying, "Saved by the Bell." Let me know in the comments if you know what that device is, but here's the Huguenot Cemetery. So we'll be doing a video of all these locations. We're just giving you a quick walking tour. If you haven't been here, I encourage you to come. In our video, we can tell you particular stories about each location. So over here, you'll see You'll see the old Spanish gates. This gate up here was the actual gate to the enclosed city of St. Augustine. Why was it enclosed? Well, it was enclosed to, again, create protection from invading armies from, again, the British and the French. So you'll see this is the original standing gates. And across the street, we can get a good view of that. We're not going to go over, but we're going to film across the street here because we are going to do a full video on, over here is the Castillo San Marco. So this was the fortress in St. Augustine. It was built between the mid 1600s to the late 1600s by the Spanish as a protection. So there's a particular ghost story associated with this fortress. And this is owned by or operated by the National Park Service. But there are many ghost stories, and again, we'll be doing a video about that. But one particular one is that the bones of lovers were found within an enclosed wall in that fortress, and they were supposedly chained to the walls. And why were they chained there? Well, if you know the story, let me know in the comments, but we can cover that later. But now, this is a ghost story, and they were rumored to be buried alive within the walls. So let's go to, we're going to walk to another street. We're going to go back past the Tolomato Cemetery and down a street. So there's a particular area of the city that has several haunted locations. And this is, as you see, we're in a very busy, historic, and touristy area, but there's very quiet streets, and we're going to be going to those. And that's where there are several locations that are rumored to be haunted. Just so you know, one of the interesting backstories about St. Augustine is that the town was heavily influenced by Henry Flagler. He was part of the Standard Oil Group with other industrialists at the time. He came to St. Augustine. He was responsible for building the railroad down from the north down to Florida. And he made St. Augustine one of his locations for one of his hotels. Well, he built two hotels there. We're going to show you those. So those are both rumored to be haunted. One is currently a college. It was an old Ponce de Leon hotel. And the other was the Alcatraz Hotel, or Alcazar, not Alcatraz. And that also is rumored to be haunted. We'll be showing you those. Another location here, however, is he built a jail. It's the old jail. We won't walk there right now because it's quite a distance from where we are. But I will be doing a video about that location. That is one of the supposedly highly haunted locations in St. Augustine. So here we are again at the Tolomato Cemetery. Streets are really wet here, but I suppose that adds to the spooky ambiance of the city.
Two from last night because we had some connectivity problems, also some bad weather, so we're refilming this portion of the video. But we're gonna start here and then walk from there. So as you can see, this is the cemetery.
Again, this is the Catholic cemetery, and the other cemetery, the Huguenot cemetery, is where the Protestants were buried. This is where the Catholics were buried. We're going to go now to a location that is it's a restaurant and bar, and it looks very lively right now, but it's actually known to be, well, rumored to be haunted by someone in the top floor of the restaurant. So we'll take a walk down there. Up here on the right is a bed and breakfast. It's an inn you can stay in. It used to be a funeral parlor. And so the stories go that during the time, I don't know, it's the 1800s when it was a funeral parlor, but the bodies would be on display in these front windows here. That's what the local ghost story, the ghost tours tell you. I'm not sure how much truth there is to that. I'll have to do some research. But I don't know if I'd want to stay in that place. So if you watched the first part of our video last night, you'll see it was really, really raining and wet everywhere. Tonight it's quite clear and nice. So we're in the very busy part of town, but we're going to walk towards the quiet part of town, and I want to say the darker part of town. And there's many locations down here rumored to be haunted. So the industrialist Henry Flagler, he was part of Standard Oil. He was a partner with Rockefeller, and another, I think it was Andrews, was the other industrialists, all who were part of Standard Oil. So as you know, they were extremely wealthy, and so Henry Flagler was influential in bringing the railroad down from the north down to Florida so that the wealthy could come vacation here. It's very influential in St. Augustine because he built Flagler College. Well, it is the college right now, but it was the Ponce de Leon Hotel. And then, as I said, so another hotel. So we're going to show you both of those.
Someone asked, where are we? We're in downtown St. Augustine, and we're looking at several haunted locations, or rumored to be haunted locations.
Right, we're just doing a walking tour, identifying the locations, and we'll follow up with some videos on specific locations. If you're interested in a particular video about a particular location, feel free to leave that in the chat. Where are you? Are you in the United States or are you in another country? I'm asking because St. Augustine, Florida is it's in Florida, and it's the oldest city in the United States. If you watch the first part of this video, this is the second part. We filmed the first part last night, but we had connectivity problems.
They say they can't hear us well.
Oh, okay. So over here on the right, on the left, let's film this here. It's Scarlet. It's a restaurant bar called Scarlet O'Hara's, but the top floor is where many people have reported having a paranormal experience. So it's a bar, but employees working there have experienced Oh, different ghost activity upstairs.
Yeah, this bar is rumored to be haunted.
Let's go somewhere where it's not so loud here. Like I said, we're in a very crowded, busy area. We're going to go to a quiet area.
They said they're not from our area. They said they're in an Arab country.
Ah, okay. Well, this is the oldest city in the United States. It was founded by the Spanish in 1565. So the Spanish settled here. I encourage you to watch the first live that we did. That's up on the channel. This was the second half because we got cut off last night and it was pouring raining. So we had 3 parts to this walking tour. There was the first part from last night, and then we finished the other half. But this is the second part. So you probably want to start with the first part. For some reason, that didn't film very well. So on the right, we're coming up to what was the Ponce de Leon Hotel. This was built by Henry Flagler in the 1800s. And as I said, he was wealthy, part of Standard Oil, one of the industrialists in the United States. And he built this hotel for the wealthy to come from the north to come and enjoy the warm Florida weather. But
the country is the United
now
States.
College. But there are so many stories about hauntings here. There are dorm rooms where people have heard noises. They've seen spirits here. They believe it's Henry Flagler. They also believe that his wife's ghost may be haunting this particular location. One interesting thing about them is when they lived here, they were into what was called spiritualism. That's basically trying to connect with the dead via Ouija boards, talking with mediums. So who knows if that left some kind of mark on this place, but it's a massive building. It was a grand hotel.
They said the live is interrupted. No one can hear you. Can you repeat which country you're from? United States. USA.
So you can see there's a sign of Flagler College. It's a liberal arts college, but this was one of the grand hotels in the United States during its time. So across the street is another hotel that Henry Flagler built. It's called the Lightner Museum. However, even though it's a museum today, it was another hotel, and it was called the Alcazar Hotel. Now, this hotel, or rather, let's say museum, is rumored to have spiritual activity on the 4th floor. So this hotel also has one of the first, I have to check, if not the first indoor swimming pools in the United States. So the swimming pool is inside and it's an in-ground pool. And that is a location where many people say that hauntings occur, ghosts can be detected. I actually filmed there the other day, and I'm going to do a video to show you that swimming pool. We can't get in there tonight because it's closed. So this was another hotel that Henry Flagler had, again, for the wealthy. But it's not, I would think this is a tier 2 level, where the other one was a tier 1 level. So we're coming along the side where you can see the entrance to the swimming pool. But we're going to take a shortcut here in a minute. We're going to go down an alley. This alley runs between a row of houses. And it's actually, there's a presence there when you walk through it. It's called I believe it's Palm Row. So as you can see now, it's finally quiet. We're in the quiet part of town. After this section of the video, we did a live, like I said, last night, and you'll see the third portion, and it will show you other parts of St. Augustine, including the Spanish military hospital. Let's take a look over here. I think the door is open where the pool is, Wes. This is the entrance to the pool. All right, looks like they have a catering party going on. So we're going to go down Palm Row here. Okay, I haven't been able to find many stories about this particular alleyway, but
one time when we were on a ghost tour, which it looked like there's a ghost tour going on right now at the end here.
At the end, I do see a group of people. Actually, that's quite creepy.
This house has some stories behind it. It's an abandoned house, but supposedly several families who lived there were driven away by the hauntings so much that they couldn't live there anymore.
Yeah, we're about to go to a house that it has been abandoned for a long time, and it is extremely creepy. And when we were here last night, it looked like someone broke through a screen on the porch, and there's somebody in there. But we've been watching this house, the exterior, for many months. Doesn't seem like anybody really comes here or pays attention to it. This alleyway has a heavy darkness to it, I want to say. Looks like there's a ghost tour here. Let's listen to hear what they say. See, there are people here because this is a known paranormal activity location.
Now tonight, the door is locked by a heavy object and the door is shut.
Yeah, last night it was completely open. Hey. So somebody was in there last night. Let's come over here and see what they're doing.
Looks like there's a ghost tour going on here and they have an EMF meter.
Right, and so here's the thing about St. Augustine is there are so many locations here that have activity. And the locals know where they are. I mean, anyone driving by here would just drive by and not know anything about this, but we've been watching it for a while and had suspicions about things here.
But tonight, what's interesting is last night the door was completely open, and inside we could see a fridge hooked up to an extension cord that was glowing, meaning it's on. But tonight the door is shut.
And did you notice?
There's a heavy object in front of it.
Did you notice the screen is ripped more? Last night it was just partially ripped. It's fully ripped open now.
Yeah, so there's clearly something going on inside here.
And now this tour is here. Okay, let's go away from the music.
Anyway, I do recommend it's going to have a little bit of chatter, and it's also use it for the whole, if you use it for the whole night, it's going to answer the night.
All right, we're going to go around the corner now, and we're going to head towards something called St. Francis Inn. It's a bed and breakfast, and it's here in the quiet, dark part of St. Augustine, and it's a bed and breakfast, and it is known to have a ghost by the name of Lily there. And we actually did a video already about that location. I can link that in this description below, but we're going to turn around the corner here, and we may have to mute the sound because of music playing. I don't want to have any copyright issues, but we will, the next video does cover St. Francis Inn and the Spanish Military Hospital, as well as the town square where public executions occurred during Spanish occupation time. But let's take more people are coming here, so I think now this is a known location. Let's go around the corner here.
At the St. Francis Inn. This is the parking.
So, as I was saying, a lot of paranormal groups and ghost hunting groups stay here. People have made many videos about staying here. I've never stayed overnight. It's actually on the left. There we go. So we did make a video about this location and Lily's room. That was quite a trek here. So let's make our way to the Spanish Military Hospital, be the second to the last stop on this tour. So, as I said, the Spanish
Head east
occupied
on St. Francis Street toward Charlotte Street.
the Spanish
Military Hospital Museum may be closed by the time you arrive.
The Spanish occupied St. Augustine
Turn
until
left onto Charlotte Street.
the British period. But there were skirmishes between the British and the French and the Spanish. So these poor Spanish soldiers, they stayed here in the sweltering and humid heat of St. Augustine, wearing their wool and armor made of metal, dealing with all the mosquitoes and all the bugs and all the venomous snakes, and then the fighting. And so the city needed a hospital, and they created the Spanish military. Well, now it's called the Spanish Military Hospital. You can tour it during the day. You should do it. It's really interesting. But they go through the procedures and the medicines that they used at the time. Unfortunately, when an arm or leg was hit with a bullet, it was shattered. There was no other option but to remove it. So this place became known as an amputation mill. And this is not a made-up story. This is actually, there's accounts of this, that they had to like remove any parts and put them out. They were in the street, and I guess they got buried out here in the street. And it's another hotbed of paranormal focus here in the city. It's interesting to visit there because they talk about a procedure called bloodletting, which was believed, it's basically cutting to allow blood to flow, because they believed that by bleeding someone you could relieve certain illnesses. And so they'll tell the story that that's actually how George Washington died, all the way north up in Mount Vernon, of a throat. He had some type of viral infection that closed his throat. So they don't like that dirty story about bloodletting, but apparently George Washington did receive the treatment of bloodletting, and it's actually believed he bled to death rather than just succumb to the illness that they were trying to cure. So it's really fun to go to Mount Vernon and talk to them about that, and they'll deny it because they sanitize the history about the Washingtons. But just fun fact, if you go to Alexandria and you go to the old apothecary, you'll see a letter there written from Martha to the doctor in town saying, my husband George is ill, I need help. Well, the doctor went to help. And the Spanish Military Hospital here will tell you that George Washington succumbed to bloodletting. But you can see all kinds of primitive tools and procedures they used to extract teeth, do amputations, and cure other ailments with, I think they gave them mercury as one cure. Mercury pills or something like that. We all know now that's extremely dangerous and deadly. Just a fun tip if you visit this city and you want to come to all these locations and you don't want to be in your car, you can rent a golf cart and drive around. It's really fun. We just did that yesterday. I filmed a bit using the golf cart, but we're walking tonight. All around you can see the influence of the Spanish here with the architecture.
that interesting. It happened to be built on a foundation of limestone. And what's interesting is that every place in the city they had a building.
So that was just a tour of the past. That's a haunted ghost tour. Now, one of the viewers on a video we have about Gettysburg said, why is Gettysburg, everywhere in Gettysburg haunted? And, you know, he raised a good question about, is it just commercialism, you know, playing on the ghost story theory and people wanting to hear ghost stories? Or are there really haunted locations? Well, this city has Gettysburg probably beat by 4 times because there are so many supposed haunted locations here. So you have to question, really? But again, talk to the locals and they won't, you know, they'll tell you what they've experienced, and it's nothing earth-shattering and nothing deadly or dangerous, just experiences, just encounters. That raises the question, are only certain people perceptive to that? Only certain people willing to pay attention to the signs and the noises, the sensations, or the feelings maybe? Or are they just imagining it? So you walk into that pool over at the old Henry Flagler Hotel and tell me what you feel. Or how about the room at the Ripley Museum, the one room where Mr. X supposedly stayed? You'll have to watch that video that we made about that. There's a particular feeling there. So here's the Spanish military hospital. It's closed now. So apparently, under the street here, on this cobblestone, there are many body parts and bodies. And the city didn't want to disturb them and kept the stones here. So we're coming back to the busy part of town. We're coming to the town square. We're going to end there, but I'm going to tell you one quick story about the town square. And it was a public execution location. So what did that mean? Well, one form of execution the Spanish implemented here was called garroting.
Oh, this is the side of the hotel. They're on this side of it.
Currently, this town square is used as a location for arts and public gatherings and meetings. But so back when the Spanish occupied this, as I said, they did public executions here as well, and they did garroting. Garroting was where the accused or the criminal was seated on a wooden plank. Wooden plank was behind the criminal's head, and it had a hole in it, and they put a rope through that hole and looped it around his neck, and then brought it out the other side, and then attached a stick to the rope, and then started to twist it. And they twisted it slowly. And what happened? Well, it twisted around the victim's neck, and they twisted and twisted until you can imagine the outcome. So I think we're going to end here, and we will be making videos about specific locations we saw tonight and some others. So keep an eye out for those.
And remember to like and subscribe.
Thank you so much for joining us. If you want us to visit other locations, let us know. If you've been here, let us know. Thanks.